In this tutorial, we'll be factoring by regrouping. So in order to regroup, we need to be able to split this middle term into two parts. So rather than doing the entire x box method, we'll start with just our x. We know that the top part is a times c, and the bottom part is b. We're going to want to multiply to make a times c and add to make b. Let's find our ABCs. A, B, C. These are the coefficients on our x's. In this case, AC is 5 times negative 2, making negative 10, and B is negative 9. We now need to find two numbers that multiply to 10. We have 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and when we look at these two numbers, the only ones that seem to be close to 9 is 1 and 10. Since we have a negative 10, one of these numbers need to be negative. Since the 9 is negative, we know the bigger number has to be negative, so when we add, the number will continue to be negative. So now we have the way that we want to split up 9x. We want to split it up into 1 and negative 10. Now we know how to split up our 9x, so we can rewrite our equation as 5x squared. Instead of negative 9x, we can put in negative 10x plus 1x, and then finish it up with that minus 2 equals 0. Notice that this equation and this equation continue to have the same value because this is just equal to negative 9x. Now for the regrouping. We're going to take this and group it into two parts. We just split it right in half. And from there, we need to find the GCF of each group. The GCF of 5x squared and negative 10x is 5x, and the remainder on the inside is x minus 2. Now we need to do the same thing for the next one. The GCF of 1x and minus 2 is just 1, because there's nothing in common between the two. And then our remainder is x minus 2. So this was a positive one. And so now we've regrouped it into two parts. And again, we need to take the GCF of our two terms. In this case, notice that there is the x minus 2 and x minus 2 in common. That means we can pull it out. And when we pull it out, we'll get x minus 2 with the remainder of 5x plus 1 on the inside for the remainder. Now we've successfully completed our factor by regrouping. I want you to notice that in this example, I put the negative 10x before the 1x. If you were to put the 1x before the negative 10x, your factors might look different, but when you solve for x, your solutions should be the same. You can try this other alternative example on your own if you'd like, and solve for x to see that you come up with the same solutions. So now on the next slide, we'll be working on finishing up this equation by solving the factors that we came up on this slide. After we factored, we now have a product that equals 0, so we can use our zero product property. This tells us that one of these factors has to be 0, or both of these factors have to be 0 for us to get an answer of 0. In order to make this binomial 0, we need to find out what x makes it 0. And then we also need to figure out, for this other one, what x will make this factor, this binomial, 0. So here's 5x plus 1 equals 0. Now we have a one-step and two-step equation. Let's start off with the one-step. For the one-step equation, we're going to add 2 to both sides. That gives us x equals 2 as one solution. On the other side is our two-step. We'll start off by subtracting and get 5x equals negative 1. Our second step is dividing by 5, and x will be negative 1/5. There we have it. These are our two solutions. And as you can see, since it's the same problem as before, we have the same solution as when we factored using Xbox.